The clay gives way under the cylinder, a fine, crumbly resistance, then release. You lift the seal, and the impression stands in relief. A line of cuneiform beside a small carved figure. Your name, cut in stone. The oil lamp smokes at your elbow. Outside, the city is still dark. The sun is 1 hour away. You set the sealed lump aside and reach for the next tablet. This is a judge in Babylon in the 34th year of Nebuchadnezzar. By the time the sun sets, a senior temple official will be indicted for stealing 42 shekels of gold from the treasury of Marduk. The sealed clay tablet carrying his name will be filed in an archive that still survives in fragments inside the British Museum. You are not a priest. You are the judge. Everything you have been told about this day is incomplete. Today, we decode the real one. The city is Babylon. The year is 570 before the Common Era, the 34th of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar II. The Euphrates runs slow and ochre-brown through the middle of it. 2 rings of mud brick wall enclose the whole. At the north gate, the glazed brick facade blazes a deep lapis blue against the tan of everything else. This is the Ishtar Gate. Behind it, the processional way runs straight to the center of the city. There stands the temple complex of Marduk. Beside it rises the 7-tiered tower called the Atamananki. Between 150,000 and 200,000 people live inside these walls. This is, at this hour, almost certainly the largest city on Earth. 6 days ago, a temple accountant flagged a gap in the monthly gold inventory of the Esagila. 42 shekels are missing. In modern weight, that is roughly 350 grams. In modern accounting, it is theft. The tablet recording the discrepancy is one of tens of thousands, all of them Neo-Babylonian, all of them eventually recovered by excavation. They will be distributed among 5 museums: London, Paris, Berlin, Baghdad, and New Haven. The tablet you will produce today is one of them. Inside a working chamber, a short walk from that complex, you are finishing your 3rd clay tablet of the morning. You have been reading the same inventory for 6 days. You were awake before the lamp. Your wife sleeps on the far side of the compound. Your youngest married and moved to Borsippa last winter. The house is quiet in a way it did not used to be. Breakfast is on the low table. Barley bread, 3 dates, a small cup of sikaru, the date beer of the household. The beer is thick and slightly sour at the back of the tongue. You eat without hurry. The lamp burns down a finger's width. You return to the working chamber. 3 tablets wait on the wooden desk. The first is the temple treasury inventory from the previous month, closed and reconciled. The second is the current inventory, showing the 42 shekel gap in the gold column. The third is a witness statement from a junior scribe filed 4 days ago. He claims to have seen a senior official leaving the vault at an unusual hour. You read all 3 again. You have read them 9 times each. Your cylinder seal hangs from a plaited cord at your neck. You lift it, roll it once across a fresh lump of clay to confirm the impression is clean, and set the lump aside. Nabu-shum-iddina arrives at the doorway. He is 35 years old, a tubsharu of 11 years at your side. He carries a wooden diptych, wax-lined, for field notes. He does not greet you. He does not need to. You leave the compound together. The temple wall runs beside your path. The bitumen mortar between the fired bricks holds a warm, tarry smell in the pre-dawn air. The sun clears the top of the wall as you enter the outer courtyard of the Esagila. At the Esagila, the temple administrator is already waiting. He has scheduled 4 interviews before midday. All 4 men have authorized access to the vault. The interview room opens onto the outer courtyard. The door is left ajar. From the courtyard, the temple scribes are chanting the daily inventory in unison, the count of grain, the count of oil, the count of gold, a slow metronomic drone that will continue under every word spoken in this room for the next 3 hours. The first man is a junior scribe. He sits with his hands folded on his knees. He is deferential, slightly nervous, and his account of the inventory tablet is consistent with the ledger to the shekel. Nebuchadnezzar writes on a fresh tablet. You watch the man's hands. They stay folded. The second man is the junior scribe who filed the original witness statement. In writing, 4 days ago, he was specific. In person today, he is measured. He revises no fact. He softens every one. Nebuchadnezzar writes, You say very little. You roll your cylinder seal once across the top of the interview tablet as record marker before he leaves. The third man is a priest attached to the treasury. He explains procedure at every opening. He cites protocol before he cites events. He tells you which regulation governs the annual audit and which governs the monthly reconciliation. He does not tell you where he was on the night the junior scribe describes. You do not ask him to. The fourth man is the bel Piketty himself, the treasury overseer. He is polished. He arrives with his own scribal assistant. He offers his personal cylinder seal impression for the record without being asked. He sits through the interview without apparent tension, answers each question directly, and leaves when the administrator opens the door. You have taken no notes. You have watched hands. 3 of the 4 testimonies are consistent with the ledger. 1 is not, and you have not yet said which. Still with me? Good. Because in a few minutes, I'm going to show you the physical security system that protected the treasury of Marduk. It is not what you think. It's closer to how your bank verifies your signature today than it is to a lock and key. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it the next time you sign your name on anything. Subscribe to Decoded by Jack. Stay with me. A. The vault is 1 level below the treasury office. The Shatamu leads. Nebuchadnezzar follows with a fresh tablet and the wax diptych. You come last. The air changes as you descend. Lamp oil, cool stone, and the flat metallic note of old gold held long in one room. 27 storage jars stand in rows against the far wall. Each is sealed at the mouth with a lump of dried clay bearing a cylinder seal impression. 27 impressions, 27 signatures. You begin at the first jar. You roll your own cylinder once across a fresh lump of clay to set a reference for pressure and depth. You compare it to the seal on the jar. You move to the next. You work through the row methodically without speaking. Nebuchadnezzar notes each jar number on the tablet as you clear it. The Shatamu stands at the door. At the 23rd jar, you pause. The impression on the clay is technically correct. The iconography matches. The cuneiform signature line is legible and the right length, but the pressure is inconsistent along the roll. The line of the cylinder's ridge sits slightly off-axis. Whoever pressed this seal had a cylinder that was almost identical to the authorized one. Almost. You lift the polished rock crystal from the pouch at your belt. It is the weight of a small stone and cool against your palm. You hold it above the impression. The wet clay ridges refract in amber through the crystal, magnified. You see what you already knew you would see. You do not say the name. You take a fresh lump of clay. You roll the seal of the jar across it, cleanly as a certified copy for the tablet. You hand the copy to Nebuchadnezzar. He seats it against the interview record. You step back from the jar. By the time you leave the vault, you already know whose seal it is. You will not say it out loud until the tablet is written. The working chamber has changed light. The sun is low against the western wall. Frankincense from the evening offering drifts in from the sanctuary corridor and mixes with the wet clay smell of the fresh tablet on the desk. Nebuchadnezzar sits with the tablet flat before him, a reed stylus in his right hand. You stand at the window and dictate. The tablet takes over an hour. You name the witnesses, their patronymics, their positions in the temple staff. You describe the sealed jar and its adulterated impression in the exact terms the case will need in court. Jar number 23 in the treasury inventory, gold content per the previous month's ledger. Seal impression compared against the authorized impression under magnification. Pressure inconsistent along the roll. Ridgeline off-axis, an almost identical cylinder in circulation. You recite the sequence of authorized access to the vault for the relevant 6-week window. You quote the Bel Piketty's testimony as recorded that morning in the order in which he gave it. And at the bottom of the tablet, in the place reserved for the accused, you dictate the name. Nebuchadnezzar writes without looking up. When the tablet is complete, you take your cylinder from the cord at your neck. You roll it once across the closing lines, slowly, so the impression sets clean. The stylus taps a final wedge and stops. You carry the tablet to the temple archive. A wooden shelf runs the length of the corridor. You place the indictment beside the tablets from the week before it, beside hundreds of tablets from the years before that, receding into the shadow of the shelf. Your workday ends. You walk home in the last light. The seal is still on the cord at your neck. That is the day. Now let me tell you what almost no one outside of Assyriology knows about it. Decoded number 1. The case file still exists. Here is what you were probably taught, if you were taught anything. Ancient Babylonian law survives through one artifact, a stele, basalt, 2 meters tall, Hammurabi's code, 12 centuries before the day you just watched. And after that, silence. That is wrong. More than 60,000 Neo-Babylonian clay tablets have been excavated from Babylon and its satellite cities since the middle of the 19th century. The British Museum holds over 100,000 cuneiform tablets in total, and a large share are Neo-Babylonian legal and administrative. The Louvre has more. Berlin has more. Baghdad has more. Yale has a collection. Among them are thousands of criminal and civil case files, theft indictments, witness statements, verdicts, oath records, appeals. The Ajibi family archive alone, one merchant banking dynasty of the 6th century before the Common Era, preserves around 1,700 tablets. Many of them are court cases the family was party to. The tablet you watched the judge dictate is not hypothetical. Tablets like it exist by the thousand. They are cataloged. They are digitized. They are searchable through the Cuneiform Digital Library Initiative. The case file survived. Decoded number 2. This reads like a modern indictment. Here is the second thing you were probably taught. Ancient Near Eastern justice was arbitrary. Royal decree, divine judgment, ordeal by water or fire. No rules of evidence, no procedure worth the name. That is also wrong. Neo-Babylonian criminal procedure, as documented across thousands of surviving case tablets, ran on rules a modern lawyer would recognize on sight. A case required sworn witness testimony with the witnesses named on the tablet. It required documentary evidence, previous ledgers, receipts, contracts. It required a physical evidence description, seal impressions, tool marks, quantities to the shekel. It required an oath from the accused, typically invoking Marduk or the king. And it required a written verdict, signed by named judges. 12 centuries earlier, the water ordeal had been the statutory fallback in Hammurabi's code. By 570 before the Common Era, the surviving records show it had been replaced in routine practice by documentary procedure. The indictment tablet you watched a judge dictate at dusk has the same structural anatomy as an indictment filed in a court today. Component for component. Witness list, evidence description, chain of authorized access, sworn testimony transcript, named accused, signature. It is not an analogy, it is the direct ancestor. Decoded number 3. Every official carried a signature key. Now, the third thing, and this is the one I want you to sit with, that resealed jar you just watched him examine, the one where the pressure of the cylinder was inconsistent, the ridgeline off-axis, the impression almost but not quite matching the authorized one. That was not a lock. That was the physical infrastructure of a signature verification system. Every authorized official in the Neo-Babylonian temple treasury carried a personal cylinder seal, a stone cylinder engraved with unique iconography and a signature line of cuneiform. Rolled across wet clay, it produced a distinct impression. Storage jars were sealed with it. Doors were sealed with it. Inventory ledgers were sealed with it. And when a jar was reopened by anyone, the new seal impression could be compared against the previous one. Same cylinder or a substitute, a magnifying rock crystal from the Neo-Babylonian period, sits in the British Museum's collection today. It is what an auditor used to catch what your judge caught: pressure inconsistency, ridge misalignment, an almost identical cylinder in the wrong hands. A resealed jar with a defective impression was diagnostic evidence in his toolkit. The system was functionally indistinguishable from a modern cryptographic key. Each cylinder was unique. Each impression was verifiable. Forgery was catchable by physical inspection. It was more sophisticated than the wax seals that European treasuries would use 2,000 years later. The next time you sign your name on a bank slip, remember this: the mechanism your bank is running is the same mechanism the Esagilla ran on wet clay 25 centuries ago. Unique credential, verifiable impression, comparison against the record. That is what you were watching. You walk home in the last light of dusk. The seal is still on the cord at your neck. Behind you, in the temple archive, the indictment tablet sits on a wooden shelf beside hundreds of others. Beyond that shelf, another shelf. Beyond that one, another. Row after row, receding into shadow. For approximately 25 centuries, that tablet stayed on that shelf. Babylon fell to Cyrus in 539 before the Common Era. The temple lost its treasury. The city lost its population. The shelves lost their light. The archive collapsed under its own roof, and the tablets went under the sand. In the 19th century, an excavation team dug them up, one of tens of thousands. They shipped it to a museum in London. It sits there now, in a drawer, cataloged by inventory number. Beside a magnifying rock crystal, 1,700 tablets of the Ajibi archive, and 100,000 more tablets besides. Nobody today knows how the case ended. The tablets that would carry the verdict, or the sentence, or the appeal may be in the same drawer, or in Berlin, or in Baghdad, or still under the sand. The accused's name is on the tablet. His fate is not. That is what cold case means at the scale of civilizations. Not that the case is unsolved, but that the evidence outlived everyone who ever knew what it meant. The drawer closes. The archive holds.